Okay, let's talk about a feeling that, honestly, so many of us have, but we don't really get. It's that overwhelming urge to just get away from everyone. You know that moment when your social battery is just completely, totally drained? I mean, really think about it. That feeling you get after a super long day of meetings, or maybe after a crowded party, where your social battery isn't just low, it's completely gone. All you want to do is just retreat into your own space. If that sounds even a little bit familiar, well, you are in exactly the right place.
So this state of total exhaustion, it often gets a really harsh label. It tends to come out as a feeling that sounds, kind of negative, maybe even a little hostile.
We've all been there, right? You might say it under your breath or think it while you're in a crowded grocery store. Maybe you even text it to a friend you really trust. It's kind of become the go-to phrase for feeling completely overwhelmed by social stuff. But what are we really saying when we say that? Well, the thing is, people tend to hear that phrase and just immediately jump to conclusions. The assumption is that you're being mean or you're antisocial or that you genuinely dislike all of humanity. But that is a huge misunderstanding of what's actually happening on the inside. So let's just reframe this whole idea. We're going to shift our perspective away from seeing it as some kind of character flaw and start understanding it for what it is, a state of being. Because you know what? It's not about hate, it's about burnout. Let's actually put a proper name to it. Social burnout. This is a real, legitimate state of exhaustion. It's just like the exhaustion you'd feel after running a marathon, but for your brain. Your mind and your emotions have been working overtime, and they are simply totally tapped out. And this right here perfectly shows the difference. On one side, you've got the misconception that it's some negative part of your personality. But the reality, on the other side, is that it's a response. It's your brain sending up a flare, signaling that it's exhausted and it needs to protect its boundaries. Okay, so why do some people seem to feel this social burnout way more intensely or more often than other people? Well, a lot of the time, it has to do with how your mind is wired to process the world around you. If you're a highly observant person, you're constantly picking up on all the little things: body language, tone of voice, those tiny inconsistencies between what people say and what they actually do. And when you spot behavior that just feels inauthentic or fake, your brain has to work so much harder to navigate that whole interaction. That mental friction is unbelievably draining. And this burnout, it usually builds up in a pretty simple, almost automatic process. First, you notice that disconnect. Second, just processing it leads to exhaustion. And then third, your mind instinctively, without you even thinking about it, tries to create distance to stop that energy leak. And this is so, so important to get. When you pull away, you're not trying to hurt anybody. You're not aggressively pushing people away. You are simply putting up a shield to protect your own mental and emotional energy. It's a defensive move, not an offensive one. Which brings us to what is probably the most important takeaway in all of this. Far from being some problem that you need to fix, this response is actually a sign that something is working exactly right. Let's be absolutely crystal clear here. Needing to retreat and recharge from people is not a flaw in your personality. It does not make you a bad person, period. In fact, it's pretty much the opposite. It's a powerful, healthy survival mechanism. It's your mind and your body telling you precisely what they need to stay balanced and to stay well. And when you actually honor that need for some quiet, the benefits are huge. It gives your nervous system a chance to just calm down from being on high alert. It helps you reinforce your emotional boundaries. And maybe most importantly, it lets you actually recharge your mental energy so you can get back out into the world on your own terms. So if you're going to take just one thing away from all of this, what should it be? It's this. The very next time you feel that pull to isolate yourself, don't label it as you being hateful or antisocial. See it for what it truly is, a signal from your brain that it's time to protect your energy. It's an act of self-preservation. And that leaves us with one last question, just for you to think about. Now that you know this need is a healthy, protective instinct, how are you going to listen to it? How will you give yourself that sanctuary of solitude that you need without any judgment?